Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. Today I want to talk about what I think are the most underrated attractions, rides, or just aspects of the parks I think a lot of people look over, whether that's newcomers who just don't even know it's there, or people who've gone many times over and just don't prioritize these things, and I think that they are worth stopping and experiencing. So as always, I'm going to go through the parks in order of the years that they opened, because I don't know, my brain, that's just how it works. So we're going to start with Magic Kingdom. And there are three things in the Magic Kingdom that I think are very underrated. The first of which is Tom Sawyers Island. I think that a lot of people bypass Tom Sawyers Island because it takes a bit of time to get there. You gotta wait for the little raft and then finally get on it, and then you get on the island. To get off, you have to do the same thing. But I love Tom Sawyers Island. It is quiet, it is remote, it is really pretty. There's a lot to explore. I feel like for young kids, it's incredibly exciting because it really does feel like you have an entire island to explore with caves and bridges and all that cool stuff. But there's also just like beautiful quiet areas to relax. There's like this one area on the docks with rocking chairs that you can just like chill and look out over like Liberty Square, and it's just so nice, and you're so removed from all the hustle and bustle but can still see what's going on in the rest of the park. I think it's such a great place to take a quick 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to just do something a little bit different, go explore on your own. Sure, the kids would have a blast running around there, and I just think that it's so underrated because I think it's a really calm, serene, beautiful place, but a lot of people just don't take the time to go to it because they feel like it's too much time, or maybe people don't even realize that you can go onto it. And I feel like you're so more apt to run around to all the big attractions that you bypass the slower stuff, but I think it's worth taking time to see. My second thing at Magic Kingdom I think is pretty underrated is Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. I only really see a long line for this on just really crazy seasons, and I feel like it's that ride attraction that people say, well, everything else is nuts, so let's just go on that because it's not as bad, and like that's how it forms the line. But I think Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor is so good, and I don't think it gets the love that it deserves in general. Like, not a lot of people talk about it. I don't feel like a lot of people go on it as much, and it is just so funny. You've got, you know, these people, these cast members who are improv comedians making up hilarious jokes, and sure, some of them are probably redundant and they've used in past shows, but for the most part, they're really good at coming up with stuff on the fly, interacting with the audience, which is super fun. I love stuff like that at Disney. Like, my favorite thing is when the audience is a part of the show, and they do such a good job at that. You get to text in jokes that sometimes are read. I have one of mine read. It was like the best thing ever. It's a great way to get out of the heat for a little while, sit in an auditorium, and just enjoy some good laughs. And I've always laughed. I've always found the show funny. And then lastly, this is one that I think is underrated in that it's an old one. We don't talk about it much. It does often have a line, but I wouldn't say it's something that people like, you know, are honing in to go on, and it's Astro Orbiters. And the reason I say that is, well, one, because of the classicness of it. It's such a classic quintessential ride, right? You've got one in Disneyland and one in Disney World. The image of those rockets is just so quintessential Disney. But also, you get an amazing view of the park in a way that you can't on most other rides, and it's really cool. It's also really neat to get on Astro Orbiters during the fireworks. You get this just amazing, beautiful view at night of the fireworks in a different way than if you were standing in front of the castle. So I think just for the view and for the classicness of it, I think it's worth going on, but I think it's kind of underrated because people don't really talk about it a lot anymore. Moving on to Epcot is Grand Fiesta Tour, another one that I think a lot of people don't realize exists. Like, a lot of the people who go all the time, we know it's there, but I think a lot of new people do not, and they stumble upon it by accident, if anything, when walking through the Mexico Pavilion. And it's so cute and good, and I love it. It's such a short little ride. I mean, you guys know I love Donald, so I'm a little biased, but I love the whole atmosphere of it and going through Mexico and the little story with Donald that's happening on the side, and the animatronics of the three Caballeros at the end is just so good. And I think it's just such a great little ride, but people don't realize that it's there. And I think that it deserves a little bit more love, especially because ever since that refurb from what it used to be, it's just really great. And you get that beautiful view of the restaurant when you're like going down the beginning of the ride. I don't know, I just really, really love it. And it's actually, weirdly enough, like almost a must-do for me every time, because 9 times out of 10 when it's not crazy busy at the park, you can just walk on it anyway. So I really like to just take the time to do it because I just love it. Second thing that I think in Epcot is a bit underrated is Living with the Land. Another one where I feel like it just gets busy when everything else is busy. And people look at wait times and go, okay, well, I don't want to wait 2 hours to test track, but I'll wait 30 minutes for whatever this Living with the Land thing is. I think it's great. You get this great behind the scenes look of everything that goes on with growing fruits and vegetables and farming and raising fish, and just the whole process of how they utilize everything that is back there. And I've done the behind the scenes tour where you actually get to walk in that whole area, and that's fascinating. I think it's really great. I think, you know, it's a really great educational ride for young kids. I think that, again, it's a short ride. It's not a big waste of time or anything like that. And everyone's always going to the Land Pavilion for Soarin', and they're just skipping by Living with the Land. So I think it's underrated and just a really neat thing that you don't really see in other theme parks. You know, I've never really seen anything like that anywhere else. So I think that it should get a little bit more love. And then lastly in Epcot's, what I put down is all of the back areas of the country pavilions, because there's so many quiet little areas that people don't realize. You can go to the back of the England pavilion, and you've got this cute little area back there where sometimes a band plays. There's like little back areas in Morocco towards where the Marrakesh restaurant is. It can be nice and quiet. There's also a cute little museum in Morocco that a lot of people don't realize. If you go to the fountain, you go to the left, you can walk in those doors, and there's like a small museum about Morocco. And everyone just either bypasses countries or stays in the front. And I think when you go and you really get into the pavilion, you get to see a lot of little details you otherwise would have missed. For Hollywood Studios, I think there are 2 things that are underrated currently. First is Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. It has been kicking for I don't even know how many years, 15, 20? I don't know. It's been around for a really long time, and I think it's fantastic. I still think it's super entertaining. The stunt people that work on this are awesome. The explosions are cool. Everything is super, super cool. I still love the whole like joke extra person that they have in there. Again, another thing where you have audience participation, people can actually be a part of the show, which is really, really cool. And I just think it's a really, really neat show, and I think it's super underrated. Again, people don't really talk about it anymore. Back when it opened and back when it was a big deal, everyone loved it, but now people are so busy running to Star Tours, Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror. I think the sit-down shows in Hollywood Studios in general are very underrated, but that one in particular. And then the other thing that I think is super underrated is Muppet Vision 3D. I know, it's old, the screen could probably use a bit of a refurb, but it is so funny. It is literally the funniest thing ever. I crack up at all of the lines in that show. I think it's just so brilliantly done. I love how they use actual like effects within the theater, and even 1 or 2 people in costume as part of the show. Like there's so many different aspects of it that are so neat beyond just the 3D, you know, projection, that I think it is super underrated. And those days where it's just normal or quiet crowds, there's no one there, and I feel terrible. Like I walk into the pre-show and there's just no one in that room. You know, maybe it's 15, 20 people, and I just think it's fantastic. So I really wish people gave a little bit more love, because we don't know what's going to happen to it. There's all these rumors that it might not even be there soon. So it would be a shame if it disappeared and more people didn't get to see it. Lastly, Animal Kingdom, I kind of just want to pose like the entire park as underrated, though now I think it's finally getting the love it deserves ever since Pandora. And it's a shame that it took that for it to get so much love, because I think it's an amazing, amazing park. But the aspect of it that I think is really underrated are the trails. So you have the Discovery Island trails, you have the Gorilla Falls Trail, and you have the Maharaja Jungle Trek. And these are throughout the park, and you get to see different animals and learn a bunch of things. And there are cast members who are there to teach you about these animals. You can go up and ask them questions, and they'll tell you all about what you're seeing right now, facts about the animals, what they do, how they live. all of that stuff. And I think that those are super underrated aspects of the park. Again, everyone's mind is always attractions, 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 which are great. I love them. Like, look, I could ride Everest 10 times over. But there's something about the animal trails in Animal Kingdom that are beautiful. You can go at your own pace. You can learn something. You can see some amazing animals. I mean, I'm a big animal lover, so that's why I love it. But I think that aspect is super underrated. And I wish more people would take, you know, that 20 minutes to walk through the trail and like build that into their day, because I think it's really, really cool. So that's it. Those are all the things that I think are kind of underrated at each park. I'm sure there are plenty more. So if you have a ride, attraction, just an area of the park that you think is super underrated and needs a little more love, you can let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, then like it. And if you liked me, you should subscribe, because I make videos every single week. And I love talking about Disney with you guys because I'm as obsessed with it as you all are. And it's so fun to connect with people on that. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of the day. Bye.